Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's coverage of the inaugural season of the NASCAR Class C Maconi Setup Shop Fix Series, the first of many for this recently rebranded series. This evening, we're excited to bring you top split action for the weekly Strength of Field race from iRacing's virtual Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet, Illinois. Maconi Entertainment is here to bring you all the action for all types of racing, including the weekly Fast Friday series. No matter what you're racing, we can bring it to life. My name is Justin Prince. Alongside me is David Kreutz, with Eddie Smith working at the controls as our producer tonight, using cameras provided by the great Dougie Beard. David, Chicagoland, while it's no longer on the real-world NASCAR schedule, is a staple when it comes to virtual NASCAR series on iRacing. Every season, you likely stop at Chicagoland at one point. What can you tell us about tonight's venue, though, as these drivers get ready for this week's race?
Chicagoland Speedway is ever present in the iRacing world, and I'll tell you this much, it might seem like all the rest in the intermediate scene, there's just a few quirks that make it that much different. 1.5 mile circuit, as you mentioned, in Joliet, Illinois. The track's only been open now for just over 20 years, first opened in 2001, no major redevelopments ever since that point. It's a symmetrical D-shaped oval, what they call it progressive banking. You'll see it through our corners. It's a wider exit off of corner 2 for the backstretch. There's a bit of a curve through a backstretch too. Some drivers might try to use it. The big thing though that I think's real different, the front stretch has a very wide apron. You can use that to sort of cut the distance, maybe try to make an advantage out of your speed lap after lap, and in qualifying you might just need it. 18 degrees of banking during the corners, 11 on the front stretch, and 47,000 virtual fans will pack the stands as we get to this one here in Joliet. And speaking of the drivers, well, they're on the track right now, qualifying underway. 3 minutes have already gone by.
We'll touch upon those times in just a moment, but for those who missed the first weeks of S.O.F race coverage, with their Maconi Setup Shop race analysis, it's big to emphasize this iRacing's virtual at the cream of the crop race, where all the top drivers expect to compete not just for the wins, but for division championships in the title. These drivers utilize the NASCAR Craftsman trucks, 40 laps on the docket tonight, no fast repairs, and C-fixed official competition. Drivers are also in the midst of 2-lap qualifying. As well, these drivers also have one green-white checkered available for this week's C-fixed action for this S.O.F race. These races go on every 15 minutes after the hour, but these drivers tonight looking to see if they can get the big race, the big S.O.F race, because if you want to compete for the championship, you need to race well in this race on this night.
And the best drivers always come out to this specific split, and right now, qualifying is showing it. Connor Euroshak currently has the edge by about 15 thousandths of a second. From there on out, it is a rat race. We got John Ellis and Jordan Kuntz, who right now are battling for the podium in qualifying. They're only separated by 2 1/1000ths of a second. Your top 10 is within 1/10 of a second of our pole position. That's how close the field is. These are the best when it comes to I-rating, safety rating, and they're most often veterans. They're able to show every other driver around on the track, and for 40 laps, that's a very short distance. A track like Chicagoland, high speed, very short lap times. We might see up to 2 laps a minute, and if we don't get yellow flags, this one's going to be done just like that. You've got to be on your A game to get the win here and perhaps contend for the championship even further. Euroshak's going to have himself an advantage, as it appears he will be the man who starts on pole position, bar a last-second miracle for anyone else.
We'll keep an eye on the final few minutes or so of this qualifying session as Jonathan Tuckness, a well-known driver in all types of racing, putting up a time in the 12th position to close out qualifying, the checker flag waving in the session. We'll have to keep an eye on how tonight these drivers fare out, though, here at iRacing's virtual Chicagoland Speedway. With that, it's time to get ready for tonight's starting grid. Let's look at how they'll start here from Joliet, Illinois. As mentioned just moments ago, Connor Euroshak putting up the top time at qualifying for C-Fix tonight, with John Ellis in second. Last week's S.O.F winner at Nashville, Jordan Kuntz. He's the one truck once more. He starts in third alongside Michael Vernable. Then it's Nathan Coaster in the 5th position. Wyatt Warner rounding out your top 6. Back amongst the 7th position, Jacob Snyder looks to battle with Luke Peters. Ryan Andrews second last time out. Expect him to contend with Dylan Pettis in 10th. Ethan Lane, a big name you were talking about, especially David, before tonight. He starts off at 11th. Jonathan Tuckness, the top 12. Tommy Scott starts off 13th with Luke Lafaro in the 14th spot. Garrett Pick, low in terms of the IR, usually good on speed though. Joey Masevich, the same, starts 16th. Wesley Parker back deep in the field in 17th, with Wes Nip back in the 18th spot in truck 21. Kyle Johnson starts 19th, Juan Jimenez and Aaron Brown 20 and 21st. Then Brennan Jaburko, top 3 last time out from the back of the field again in 22nd. The 18 truck for this split, and Jim George gets the start on the shotgun spot. That's looked at the bottom of tonight's running order here from Chicagoland. First things first, as these drivers get ready for their pace lap, what does it take, in your opinion, to win at this racetrack based on what you've seen over the years, especially, though, with how the trucks have been racing as of recently?
As of recent, the trucks have changed in a big way. As many drivers know inside the iRacing scene, new damage model, these things are much more sensitive, and it's, of course, to provide our drivers here on iRacing a more accurate and more realistic experience to how these trucks navigate. However, it's a sort of transcending time from the past in iRacing to now. Things are very different, and this is still a very early race in this championship chase. These drivers, I'll give them this, they have experience, but it's still a frontier that they are not proven on. A mile and a half might take a lot different. I'm going to go back to Jordan Kuntz. I saw him in a 200-mile race at Chicagoland before the update. The way he won, he won't be able to win here tonight. He won on tire strategy. He actually raced guys like Luke Peters in that race. He had to battle them, hold on old tires, and then go all the way on the final run. With 40 laps, he can't do that. That's just simply too short a distance to make it happen on some finesse. However, it might lead to that hard early push mentality coming into play and maybe being the winning mindset for a driver. Euroshack seems to be a hot lap hero, faster by almost 200-300ths compared to the remainder of the field. He's got speed. He might be one of those guys who can hold on to it for a very short distance here as we go down the Brant backstretch.
Keep an eye on how these drivers fare out tonight. Lots of strong representation as well on the team side. Proximity Racing with a few entries, Nexus Racing, Next Esports should say, with representation, as well as Maconi Setup Shop, all looking to do battle. Glad to have you with us for the S.O.F race. First C Fixed Action brought to you by Maconi Setup Shop as we get ready to go racing from Chicagoland. Euroshack in control, heading to the start box. Green flag waves are underway from Illinois.
Euroshack going to be able to take that lead there, side by side, right behind. Going to be Jordan Ellis, or no John Ellis, with Jordan Kuntz. Kuntz gets the better for now as they come down the backstretch. Looks like that number 3 still has that lead. Jordan hard charging already. The front pack trying to make some moves as the 00 goes down the inside line, and he's already going to begin his hunt to go for a back-to-back win as they rub a bit further on, middle of the field.
Lots of near contact already on the offset, 3 wide. This time by, it's Euroshack who leads the first lap. How long is the question? The bottom of the racetrack is much stronger short run. Long term, it's based on what we've seen driver preference over the years. Euroshack, though, with the better run on the exit so far to be able to try and clear on by.
And Jordan Kuntz already putting down a lot of pressure to Euroshack. He wants to keep that lead in for good reason. He looked quick in qualifying, trying to look even quicker in the race. They're 3 wide in the back of the field right now, and they're still battling as hard as ever. Looks like another proximity entry going to be in the middle of it. That's Ryan Andrew right next to him as they're double file on back. The lead battle now seems to settle down just a bit. Euroshack going to be able to gain just a bit more. He's just under a 1/10 of a second your leader, and now they're 3 wide right behind, namely going to be number 10 machine of Wyatt Warner, who now moves into the top 5 for the first time tonight. Warner looking good on the bottom line, but it looks like it's going to be run for the number 26 right in front. That's Ethan Lane, and I mentioned him earlier before we got this broadcast going. He is one to look out for. This is his first time running in the S.O.F race. He ran a Road to Pro part-time run last season in Split 2. He's one of the best in the business when he's all in his A game. I'm sure he's got something for these drivers as he slowly but surely crawls up. He's already made it up 11 spots so far.
Oh, a little bit of a dart there for Andrew as well. But touching upon what you said when it comes to Lane, in the midst of all things, to keep an eye indeed, because he's been a long-time veteran and well-respected in the garage area for lots of reasons, especially because he's one of the nicer guys you can meet, but also has been with a lot of strong organizations. You can already see with the onboard. the patience level already coming in, especially to see how the top three plays things out with that flip the switch usually around lap 10 we've seen in the past.
And they're going to have to flip the switch sometime soon. Right now, they're single file up in front, but you know you can't win a race being all that nice. Euroshack, well, he's loving it so far. He's got that clean air, but he might have to pull a few more out of that engine when it comes to the revs and the speed. He's still got Jordan Coots all over him in that 00. They're both going at it up and down throughout the backstretch again. It looks like the three's got himself a good lead for now. No yellow just at the moment. Double file going to be outside the top 10. Your top 10 guys, though, they're staying calm, waiting for someone to push it over and send us into a lot more of an aggressive race as we continue lap after lap.
You know where the aggression is? You've seen it flash into the backdrop. Some of the Nexus esports drivers fighting. That's Kwame Scott, well known for making his way through the ranks with a fixed sign, but also running with the organization for RTP competition. Also working his way around a fellow teammate at Venable. You also have in the mix Garrett Pick. And Pick is somebody who races more so in series like Thunderclap as well against some of the real-world crew members for NASCAR competition. Here's the thing. Pick is known for being a long-run driver as well, so keep an eye on this grouping, you'd have to say.
And if you're going to say a long-run driver, I'm telling you, Garrett Pick's going to want this race to go all the way without a yellow flag. I'm thinking for the guys who are long-run drivers, you just can't afford to have more than one, if any, yellow flags on the night. So far, we've gone pretty well. 8 laps in, no yellow flag, and Euroshack has been up front for all of it. Jordan Kuntz, though, tailing in by very little. He's going to roll that number 3 up the track in just like that. Jordan's got a shot to dive down to the inside line and take the lead for his own. At the line, Euroshack leads, not by much.
Able to get the side draft down. That has been a critical part of making passes work. Kuntz, though, just can't clear. Still that outside line so good on defensive moves. You have to clear by the apex, as we've seen all year.
And it looks like Jordan Kuntz is going to have to work it in overtime. And it seems like you're right about that one indeed. The exit off corner just so dominant from that high side no matter what. But the 00 machine is absolutely pulling at everything he's got to try to make that pass happen. He's already taken 2 attempts at it. He'll now try to go up high and make sort of a switchback occur. He's got a bit more momentum off exit this time by. That's going to keep him in the running, and he'll try to dive down a bit lower. Looks like he's going to get right up to that back bumper, and the F-150s continue to duel. It looks like Kuntz goes down low, but they're both going to be almost a truck length apart.
Crossover attempts continuing from Kuntz. And that has to be the right timing to get that done right. All to the back bumper. Here, contact again. Already a quarter of the way through C-Fixed action. Glad to have you with us for tonight's coverage of NASCAR Class C Maconi Setup Shop Fixed Series action. For those tuning in, Euroshack and Kuntz battling for the lead. This has allowed everybody else to close in, though. Ellis, Lane, Warner closing in. Battle for third is on.
And take a look at that. Ethan Lane now going for the podium places. One's going to wiggle high. That's going to be John Ellis. Ellis down low. He was moved. And now Ethan Lane from the 11th spot on the grid is making it up to third. He's the biggest mover on the night so far. Dylan Pettis not too far behind that number 15 machine. He's also moving and moving big. He's came from 10th on the grid all the way up to 6th. We've got 2 hard chargers in the middle of this second pack. The 15 gets a bit of a bump draft. And it's going to be Wyatt Warner who saves it. Phenomenal job for that number 10. My oh my. He'll come back up the track. They're going to be able to keep racing. And it looks like the number 10 losing spots down it, but he is not out. What a save from Wyatt Warner.
Did have a scrape at the wall the previous lap. Things boil over the next time around. Now offset 3 wide of the heart of the pack. The top 2 able to break away a touch bit. With now Lane up to third spot.
And Warner's in trouble, going to be spinning on the backstretch. Nobody with him. It looks like he's going to be an isolated incident. Nothing else going to happen. We stay green. Wyatt Warner now going to be far out of the main pack. The leaders stay in their own. Wyatt Warner, checking up on him myself. He's going to get off the backstretch alone. He'll be dropped all the way down to dead last on the field. Going to be passed by every driver, including now the 22nd man and Jonathan Tuckness. Connor Euroshack leads the way nevertheless, but Jordan Kuntz is tailing, and he's getting closer and closer time after time. Just staying in that draft, working that number 3 over. Eventually, the end goal is to see that number 3 lose his footing and let the door go wide open again.
So how do you set that up is the big question mark. We've seen Kuntz try the crossover move that's so popular. We've seen him try the different lines. We've seen him just try and run his own race. Might open up, though. There's the door opening with Euroshack's bubble in a bubble. Just not able to take advantage yet. How would you do this?
I'm not quite sure how I'd do it, but I know the way Jordan Kuntz has done it before. Stay on that quarter panel. You got to displace the air. iRacing, phenomenal simulation of the physics of each and every interaction. So Jordan Kuntz is able to sort of dump air on that quarter panel. That's going to move the number 3 up. We saw him do this already with Euroshack before. Wasn't able to complete the move. If you're able to just stick your bumper in time after time, you might be able to shoot him up.
We have one solo driver, the 15 truck, dropping down the pylon rapidly. They had been running inside the top 5. That's Coster, who had been battling it out with one of the proximity racing trucks, in fact. All the way back to 19th spot and nearly having a truck turn across his nose again in the battle for 18th.
Oh boy, this is another save we're seeing. It's going to be Nathan Coster drops very far back. He got turned off the bumper, similar to what happened before with Wyatt Warner, but now it looks like he's still going in the pack. He'll be scored in 19th that time by Juan Jimenez, going to be able to get just by, and that's a heartbreaker. Jordan Kuntz down to the inside line. He's let that door go wide open. May we have ourselves another battle? It looks like we do.
Just seen the tail end of the replay, but now here's the battle for the lead. Kuntz has been trying several times to get to the inside and make the full pass. It seems much more a bottom-dominated racetrack for the preferred line. Once again, not able to make it work, and now you have to wonder what's going through Euroshack's mind, because Lane is now coming for second.
Ethan Lane, he is the man on a mission. He has not stopped just yet. He sees Jordan Kuntz slip up, and now it's his time to take yet another spot away. Now that number 26 is going to be rolling on both the drivers' bumpers. If they make a mistake, it's going to take them both away from the focus, of course, the lead, and give the number 26 yet another shot. John Ellis waiting in the wings in the Black Rifle coffee machine. He is ready as well. Don't count him out. He's staying intact and staying in a good distance, a healthy distance between himself and the top 3. It's going to be Lane down low, forcing anew. He'll find himself there with Jordan Kuntz on the high line, and Jordan Kuntz barely has enough room. Lane scoots on up. He's going to try to say see you later. It looks like it's going to be Jordan Kuntz who says that same thing right back to him.
Still continuing to fight hard, and now matching lines, in fact, trying to get to the bottom line. Euroshack now referring the top. The offset near 3 wide, though, starting to interact for the possibility for this race lead. Keep in mind that Snyder, Scott, and Andrew are trying to close up in the next pack. The more they fight, the more they add more trucks.
And Jordan's got a shot down to the inside line once again. Look at him go. These 3 drivers are all Road to Pro drivers from the last season, and they got very close to making it to round 2, which will start, of course, within this week at Mid-Ohio. However, here at the Ovals, they are in their workhouse. They know these things better than almost any other driver on the service, and Ethan Lane knows how to make a pass even when it's tricky. Lane's now got himself clear. Jordan Kuntz, he's looking for first now. Look at him go. It's going to be the Toyota Tundra in the middle of a Ford F-150 sandwich.
And the good clean air picked up there by Lane on the lane below. Can Ethan Lane pick the right lane to make the pass? Lane looking like he's trying to set this up for the bottom rotation into 1.
And that he does. Got himself right down low. Euroshack's got the high line that's kept him up in front all night long, though. Euroshack's got himself still a bit clear. Now going to drop down low, make the block. Jordan Kuntz on the back bumper of Ethan Lane. Both drivers chasing down your leader in the same vein. It's going to be the number 3, keeping them all up top. Lane's got himself an edge. Jordan Kuntz stays in that draft. They might push each other down low, but Euroshack drops the furthest. The apron won't be used this time around. Ethan Lane are going to have to think of a new trick. He's back to the drawing board as we keep racing. Up in front, we pass the halfway point. That's how fast this is as they come through the ramp backstretch once again. 3 drivers, 1 position. They're all chasing the top spot.
Lane starting to back things up to try and find some clean air pockets here? That was the major question mark with everything moving up to the top line. What would the drivers do? Keep in mind, by the way, tonight's action brought to you by Maconi Setup Shop, as well as Maconi Entertainment, the home for setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, event promotion, more. Subscription as low as $8. The official shop of eNASCAR and the series sponsor for C-Fix Series this season. Lane's going for the move. Yet again, forced to reset. Just has been the Euroshack defensive paint scheme maneuver all night long in that pink 3.
And it looks like the number 3 knows every way to go. He has been countering each and every shot like it is nothing. Nobody else seems to have the ability on defense as that number 3 does. It's Euroshack still up in front, 25 laps in. Jordan Coote still keeping himself in touching distance. Ethan Lane not too far behind, but Euroshack goes up to that high side and he takes away air exactly where he needs to. The low line might be able to make a good lunge, but Ethan Lane just cannot work it out as he dives in big time this time through, side by side, through 3 and 4. He's got himself a good shot. He'll come right there, side by side. The drafting will keep him right in touch, but not going to be able to make that pass. Euroshack has been phenomenal using that back bumper for good.
Another attempt by Lane to the bottom of the racetrack. So many times it's come close, this battle. So many times Euroshack has just planted it to the outside of the racetrack. Lane giving some respect, looking to try, and if he can slide job it. Very well known at this track, to say the least. Not able to complete the slide job, but able to complete the edge to get it to the nose.
That's the best he's looked at the lead all this race. Ethan Lane putting it where he needs to be to get that lead. Dives it down low. Advantage going through 1. It looks like it's almost clear. He just has to dive up at the right time. Lane's got himself squirrely that time through, and Euroshack will take the lead once again. Keep in mind, Jordan Coote's looking for an out himself. If these two make contact, the 00 might be able to sail home to victory. John Ellis not too far behind as Lane drives it deep. One more time through. He might go down the apron and cut some distance once again. That he does not. He'll tuck right back.
This has been a masterclass of defense from Euroshack all race long. No one's been able to pass him throughout this race with the clean air, but hasn't been able to get a rotation full. It's been close by Lane this entire run. How long does this hold before the give and take wears away? There's the side draft. Is the slide job going to be good for Lane? He's almost clear out of 4.
It looks like he's got a really good shot this time by. Euroshack is worn out. Those tires are bobbling through. And just like that, Ethan Lane will lead his first lap of the night from 11th on the grid. This man is unstoppable. And now he's pulling away. Euroshack's washed up, it appears. He's going to wash up to the high side. Jordan Coote's now looking for a second. And it looks like the number 3 has done all he could. He's now fading back. And that's hard, not only from the physical aspect of having to manhandle that truck. Mentally, when you give up that lead spot, it becomes so much tougher to try to battle for the rest. Jordan, who knows this, will not give in, and the 00 machine's going to find himself right behind 2 of the best, still looking to make a bit more work, maybe for a win. 11 laps to go, this time by double digits. Last few times around, Ethan Lane building the biggest gap we've seen all race long.
See if the clean air is able to push Lane forward, or if the draft is able to help Euroshack pull up. How about a massive draft down the back straightaway? How about a back up for turn 3 entry once more? And all that fighting has allowed not just Ellis back in, but Snyder, Scott, and possibly Chaburko into the conversation to make it a 6-7 truck battle, heading to the final 10 laps this time.
It would be awesome to see that, but right now I think Euroshack's playing a whole different game. I'm going to have to circle back to a point I made when we were going through our starting grid. Tire strategy. If we get a long run, you wear them a bit further out. It's not a long run per se, but Euroshack has been up high that whole time, making sure that his Goodyear rubber is not burnt out. So when we come down to the final few laps, he might have a bit more in the tank. Lane is driving his heart out, but that time by, it looks like he loses about 200 of a second and might lose more if Connor Euroshack can keep ripping it all the way high and maybe keep himself in the battle, as now only 9 laps remain here at Chicagoland.
And Euroshack twice in the past couple laps has knocked the wall down. In fact, in past years, that right front fender's crumpled in. The new damage model this month, very much can get away with a few of those love taps. How long does Euroshack keep getting away with rubs like that one?
I'm not quite sure if he's going to get away with much more. These trucks, they will punish you if you try a bit too much on that side. The wheel well, if it gets bent up, your suspension may as well be gone. New damage model, you don't want to take your chances. Ethan Lane doesn't either. He's consistently losing time lap after lap now. It looks like Euroshack might have the hand up in this battle that we didn't expect to see for any other driver. Bar Lane, rest of the day. Jordan Kuntz fading back a bit further. John Ellis might have a shot for a podium now, but it is Euroshack staying right there with Ethan as they come down the line. Once again, it is going to be Ethan Lane leading, but only by a 10th and 69 thousandths. Nice opportunity for Euroshack to get right back.
Taking the opportunity that I can see. Looking for opportunities now. Still is Euroshack trying to search for the lines. Now it's the matter. How would you set this up? What do you think it's going to take with Euroshack having to burn up those tires long defending to try and find a way to use those same tires to see if he can take advantage to get back to lane?
It might just take a go-for-broke strategy with 5 laps to go next time around. He lost him more than he had lost at any other lap prior, even when he seemed to be all but done the moment Ethan Lane got by. That's the worst Euroshack has looked all throughout, and Ethan Lane is still looking solid. However, the draft keeps him in the game, and Jordan Kuntz right now sees John Ellis go down. Keep an eye out for that battle. Euroshack stays high. This might be the time for him to drop down like it's a qualifying lap, use all that momentum he's preserved and burn the tire up and go for everything he's got. 5 laps to go this time by for Ethan Lane, who did lose a bit that time through. Maybe this is the beginning of another final run for the Euroshack machine, as it's a Ford F-150 dialing it in against the Tundra right up front.
Proximity racing truck of Kuntz in the midst of a battle with Ellis, by the way. Ellis had been running the top line much of the run, and is now losing tons of ground to the top 2. It's about 3/10 the difference, first and second spot. You can tell we're lane stronger in the corners. Euroshack has that draft, though, not as prevalent in compared to past years with 4 to go here.
And it looks like he loses a lot of time through the corners. Too much for him to keep in that draft. Now the distance is over 1/3 of a second. Beforehand it was just under 1/4 a second. So he's losing 10th after 10th now. Maybe the last dance has been seen, and he took all his chances. Jordan Kuntz now in a multi-truck battle. 2 drivers go down low on him. That's going to be John Ellis, Jacob Snyder. Jordan's going to have to battle it up high if he wants any opportunity to stay in the podium. It looks like he's going to be working for it. Now it's a battle of 4 right behind. Your top 2 are continuing to pull away 38 laps in.
3 laps to go. Down to the bottom of the racetrack again goes Ellis, trying to get to the door. Some contact to the wall, sliding around to Snyder, keeping off of Scott. Scott holds on to the 5th position in that battle. Keep an eye on the picture-in-picture brought to you by Maconi Entertainment. Lower corner of the battle for the lead. Still separated by 3/10. Kuntz trying to hold on to the top 3 and get a very strong I-rating game with 2 to go.
And it looks like Ethan Lane up in front by a wide margin. But looking back at this battle, Jordan Kuntz going to be showing some shades of Euroshack up high. He will get that run every time around on the Brandt backstretch, compromising the momentum everyone has. Jacob Schneider going to be the big loser so far. Kwame Scott stays right with them. And now John Ellis dives a bit high, then goes down low. He'll go for the deep sea this time through, just trying to make it happen. But Jordan Kuntz, a great defensive performance, stays out in front, and what looked to be a certain loss of position now might not be. 1 lap to go this time by. Ethan Lane gonna lead him. Euroshack not too far behind, and Jordan Kuntz still battling for all he's got as they come to the Brandt backstretch. 1 final time, no yellow flags, 40 laps throughout, no interruptions.
Ethan Lane took his time, took his patience to be able to find a way around Euroshack. It took until the final 10 laps, but it's Ethan Lane who's able to crack the code to take the race win at Chicagoland in the S.O.F race for C-Fixed action here in Illinois. 1 driver spinning from the top 10 down to the stripe, and that's not a way that driver wanted to finish, but it's Lane's way of wanting to win after a strong battle with him, Euroshack, and Kuntz tonight.
And that's going to be Michael Venable, who comes home 8th position backwards at the line. My, oh my. At least he came home in the top 10, and he's now burning it down, trying to get it back up front for the Nexus Esport machine. Ethan Lane looked great all night long. How about this one? It's going to be Lane winning from Euroshack, and then Jordan Kuntz held on in a phenomenal battle there. How about it indeed? We'll try to get your drivers in an interview in just a moment. I think, Justin, we've got to see our race results after a great performance here.
Yes, indeed, from 11th to 1st for Ethan Lane tonight. The Carolina Club driver going from the mid-pack to the very point here this evening. With that turn, let's talk about how these drivers finished up here tonight, here on Maconi Entertainment. In regards to tonight's action, it was once again Ethan Lane picking up the victory, 7/10 the difference over the Canadian Connor Euroshack. Jordan Kuntz, last time's S.O.F winner from Nashville, picks up a top 3 this week. Streamer and Nexus Esports driver Kwame Scott finishes in 4th. John Ellis Jr. back in 5th. Snyder, Chaburko, Venable, Peters, and Parker, your top 10. Back along the mid-pack for tonight's festivities as well. Kyle Johnson holding off Juan Jimenez. Nathan Koster was up as high as the top 5 before contact. That dropped him to 13th in the end. Aaron Brown, Joey Masevich with a very surprising run in 15th. Jonathan Tuckness finishes 16th. Struggle for the short track racer and oval racer. Wes Nip back in 17th. Brian Andrew at one point was towards the front, getting dropped back with some of the trouble late in 18th. Dylan Pettis started top 10, finishes 19th. Luke Lofaro, your top 20, 16 seconds. The difference 1st to 20th. Wyatt Warner finishing dead last of the lead lap. And Garrett Pick and Jim George both do not finish 22nd, 23rd best trucks in I rating in tonight's top split. Not making the grouping. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk post-race. You're watching tonight's coverage of C-Fixed Action, brought to you by Maconi Setup Shop on Maconi Entertainment.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
And after a fantastic battle all night long here in Chicagoland, we're going to get your podium interviews, starting with the man who came home in the 3rd spot, looking strong, started in 3rd and finished there. It's Jordan Kuntz in the number 1 iRating slot, extending a championship lead in a hard-fought battle all throughout. Jordan, a great run here, short dash, and you kept your defense at an A game. How do you feel after this race?
I feel like really good. I could have gotten so much more if I just knew the setup better, practiced more, but it was actually loose, which is a surprise for the fixed setups, and worked its way tight. So I had to work through some shifts in the balance of the car, but in the end it all worked out and was able to come home 3rd place.
And coming home with a podium, always a great way to do it. Now, I'll tell you this much, looked like you had a lot of your handful all throughout, of course, the late race battle, but even earlier, running up front with Euroshack and Ethan Lane, what was the biggest struggle for you to keep it up there as you had such a strong competition around you and you were able to succeed?
I think the struggle was just inexperience with the setup, not practicing a lot with it, just jumped into the race and ran only a few laps and had to just find out which direction the balance would go in the race. So it's always a challenge. I feel like I managed really good, but always could have been better.
And always could have been better, always a way to improve. That's a great way to look at it. But I think the best thing you did, maybe learning throughout the race, that 4-truck battle there for 3rd spot. You were able to come out on top of that one. I thought for a moment there, maybe you didn't have it in you there, but you were able to hold on, lock it down, and look good from there on out. What was it that kept you ahead for 3rd?
I think it was just keeping on the high side. The setup Of course, started on the bottom, worked its way to the top side of the track, and just planted it on the top side. Didn't let anybody get to the outside of me, and stayed in third.
And there we have it. Simply put, Jordan Kuntz always a methodical driver in this series, and he's been the best so far. I'm going to pass it to Justin. Any thoughts for our man in third place?
Well, yes, indeed. I do have this one curious question. It seemed it was difficult when it comes to the defensive measures here today. There was some discussion we were talking about before with the mile-and-a-half package. How would you describe the mile-and-a-half package for tonight?
Very little off throttle time at the start of the stint, but it's really fun, almost like a draft race for draft qualifying at least, and then a lot of draft is involved with at the start of a run, and about at lap 20 it gets to where you have to really start managing the tires or see how well someone's managed the tires. I don't think I did very good, but it all worked out in the end.
Well, indeed, indeed. By the way, hearing that you may or may not be the points leader in C-Fix, congratulations again on the run, Jordan.
Thank you.
So that's Jordan Kuntz coming away with the third spot tonight. First spot tonight going the way of Ethan Lane. And lots to discuss when it comes to Lane. First things first, Ethan, talk us through that battle tonight, because you had Euroshak, who was really strong at defending. How was it in terms of figuring out how to crack the code of the very difficult object to pass?
Coming off the corner straight as possible on the bottom. So it's really fun this week. I really enjoy this place. It drives and fits my driving style really well. Having to manage that throttle corner exit just to be able to like keep the momentum up is fun. And it was just all about patience too, being able to get past Connor. We tried the outside, didn't have much grip out there, but then we went back to the bottom. We found a little bit more grip than everyone else, and we just stayed there the entire race after that.
And it was interesting to watch that pack. You're moving through the field, but also just how the top three fared things out this evening. In terms of the racing feel, how would you describe it compared to the past seasons in C-Fix for those to give that insight for the mile-and-a-half? We heard Jordan's take. How would you describe tonight's take to cut your way through this pack?
It felt like you could do that in years past, especially at the start. Everyone's fighting for that bottom because we are wide open. But with dirty air being in effect, I figured just search out to that top, see if you can find something, and we found clean air, and we were able to go from 11th, 12th, I think it was, all the way to 4th at the start, and then we just methodically made our way to the front.
So that answers that in terms of the dirty air. Absolutely big when it comes to the railroad racing too. Also, I'm curious on this because David did mention that he's called races with you in league action. And apparently you had sold your computer equipment, if I'm understanding. Where did
Yeah,
that come into play?
um, yeah. Right now we're using a friend's computer. We I needed the money for a little bit, and we kind of like wanted to step away from iRacing. Just I was getting bored of it, and we're kind of just dabbling here or there, like having fun with it right now. And when we do lose this computer, we still have all the equipment, just not the PC. So only thing I'll need to get back into it full time and possibly run for Coke starting next year in 2024 is a PC, and we should have one probably by the end of the year or beginning of the next year.
I'll tell you this much, Ethan. Great to have you. It's a certainty. The talent is not lost. A hard charge, I'll tell you that much. 11th to 1st throughout the entirety of this race. Nobody else doing it like you there. So what was the big thing for you passing throughout this one? Nobody had the passing down the same way. That number 5 machine on the iRating chart had it all night long.
Like I said, finding that clean air early. I knew either the setup was going to go plow tight to the fence, or it was going to kind of stay in my wheelhouse where I like it, where you have to manage throttle and actually I have to drive it off corner exit. And luckily, it went in that direction to where we could play around with it a little bit in different lines.
And playing around throughout the entirety of the night, you found the perfect way to go for it. And I'll have to give you this much. Always back on the top of the board, and it seems like Ethan Lane finds it again. Ethan, after this one, any final thoughts and anyone else you'd like to thank here on Maconi Entertainment?
We're just having fun with it right now. Might do a couple more this week, might not. We'll see how this week goes.
And there we have it. Ethan Lane finds himself the winner of the Strength of Field race here at Chicagoland. First race in this one, and he comes home a winner. What a way to do it for that number 5 machine in the iRating. A winner once again. With that in mind, we'll bring you to the end of this one. Justin, I think you got a little bit more for us as we go from our podium interviews to our final segment of the night.
Yes, indeed. As we get ready to close, I'd like to remind folks that Maconi Setup Shop has a day at the track set up with eNASCAR and next New Hampshire Motor Speedway, where you can pick up $250 in cash, 2 tickets to all events at New Hampshire Motor Speedway on the July 15th and 16th, and a special prize from eNASCAR at the track. All purchases through MaconiSetupShop.com can grant you entry into the contest. 5 entries are given to a new subscription, 3 if you upgrade your existing subscription, 1 for each individual purchase. For more information, go to MaconiSetupShop.com/@the-track for more contest details. Tonight, though, definitely intriguing on the details on the battles. It took the battling of finding the clean air and the lines, David. Your thoughts tonight?
It was another strong race here in the Maconi Setup Shop C-Fix Series, and for the first time here, I've seen a caution-free race. Love to see that. These drivers were on their A game, and they were bringing it lap after lap. Very small incidents, very, very collected overall, and the drivers up front always put together with their best effort. Ethan Lane, first time I've seen him drive in quite some time here. Weeks, months, I think it's been quite a while. Maybe even 22 was the last time. He comes home a winner. Drove through the field, classic performance there, and every driver there kept him on his toes. Euroshack, defensive masterclass. Jordan Kuntz came back late. The best of the best rose to the top here in Chicagoland. I think that's one of the best things about it here in iRacing. We might not see in the real world anymore, but whenever it's back virtually, it always gives us a great show.
And I'll say this, if Euroshack can keep that up much of the rest of the campaign, clean driving, hard battling, but clean, respectful driving, that might open up a lot of doors. But thank you for tuning in for tonight, as well as our race sponsor, Maconi Setup Shop, and our broadcast partner, Maconi Competition. Cover the action tonight was myself, Justin Prince, alongside David Cruitt in the booth, with Eddie Smith producing. I'd like to thank you once more for watching tonight's racing action from Chicagoland Speedway on iRacing. I hope you stay tuned to all of our social media pages for our next race. Thanks to the entire staff for their work in bringing this race to you. This has been a production of Maconi Entertainment. We'll see you next time.